Hi guys, welcome back to Welcome Home Custom. Today we are going to learn how to assemble our Cardinal box. Let's get started. All right guys, let's go ahead and look at the Cardinal box. So we will go into the SVG, and first and foremost we want to go ahead and look at the instructions. It walks through the colors used, a note on scoring, supplies that I used with a breakdown, so if you want to use scraps you can, slot size information, as well as a breakdown showing what all the files look like or examples of the files, the color planners, a note on adjusting slots. This is only for people that the number of slots that I provided don't work for them. Usually the slots that I provide will work. But again, if you need to change them, we'll go over how to do that in just a little bit. And then the assembly process, just kind of a quick down and dirty. And again, we will be doing that in just a little bit. So if we go ahead and look at the box file first, and then we look at pieces, these are all the pieces to actually build the box itself. We are going to want to cut out the material measurement tool from the website. It is in the super freebie section. This will help you back into what slot you need. So we cut the wood out of a material that we plan on using for the box. So as an example, if we are using Lasered by the Creek micro ply wood, we are going to want to cut our measurement tool out of the same type of material, a 1/4 inch micro ply wood. We can use that tool over and over and over again. So you really would want to just cut it once, and then I use the exact same tool every single time I am using Lasered by the Creek wood. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the 205. And you can see that we've got our long sides, our short sides, and then this is the base. If we click on one of these and ungroup, you can see that the slot is 205. Now, if I needed to change any of these slots or tabs for any reason, we would want to refer to the instructions, and we can utilize this, what is called a reference point. And it is used in many of the different vector programs. So what it does is it will lock your object that you have selected on whatever side you pick. So as an example, if I wanted my slot to be locked on the outside over here, and I wanted it to move in and out from this edge, I could come up here, select that part, and then change my slot from there. So say I needed a weird slot like 0.237, and I hit enter, and you can see the slot moved from here and moved this way. It didn't move from center, it actually moved in and out from the side. And you will notice, again, if we go over to our instructions, a lot of the slots are going to need to be frozen on one side or another for it to work. So the automatic resizer in Lightburn for the slots won't work. You can use it for the tabs, but you can't use it for the slots. Okay? So then we also have the box sides. This is the overlay that we will glue on top of the box. And then we also have the lid, which is basically just two rectangles with a scored line. The scored line helps you with placement of the lid that is glued underneath. Then we have the color planners. And last, we have one cardinal or two cardinals. One cardinal and two cardinals look the same. It's just the difference of one or two cardinals. So we are going to go ahead and review just the one cardinal. So the jig, this is going to help you with piece placement after you have cut everything and you're getting ready to place your pieces. I highly recommend using this. You can cut it out of cheap scrap wood. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. It could even be cardboard if you want. We then have kerf and no-kerf. No-kerf means that I have not added any sort of adjustment for kerf offset. So kerf is the material you lose when you cut anything, whether it's with your laser or if it's with a table saw, whatever it is, that is what kerf is. So I have not made any adjustment for these pieces. The kerf, I have added a 0.002 inch offset for a tighter fit. So really, if you are new to this, I would just cut the kerf option. If you are more of a pro and you know your own kerf, you can use the no kerf option. So when we go ahead and open these, you'll see that we have scored and then we have nothing. Well, we'll go ahead and open the scored first. Let's see. Let's delete this off and we will go ahead and go to the scored option. The scored option means there is scoring detail on top of the pieces. And scoring is going to be a line function or a cut function, but you set your power low and your speed high, so it simply marks the wood and doesn't cut it. Okay, so you can see I have got my scoring set to 300 speed and 25 power, whereas my cut is set to 15 speed and 65 power. So your score settings are almost going to be like an engrave setting, but you need to be sure that you have it set to line. If we set it to fill and try to send that to our laser, it will error out. Okay, so don't do that. If we go ahead and open the pieces that are not marked with the word scored, you can see that they have numbers on the back, which will correspond with the color planner. We are going to put our wood with the good side face down in our laser, and we are going to score the number on the back and then cut the pieces out. I recommend masking the good side of the wood that you're placing face down. That way you're protecting from any flashback. If you are using double-sided wood and it doesn't matter, you don't really have a good side or a bad side, you can select all your cherry and cedar pieces or all your cherry pieces, and you could put them all together and cut all at the same time. You can do the same thing pretty much with anything that there's overlap. So like here, the walnut, we can move that over with this. Another thing to note is to always check your 1-inch square, make sure it's 1 by 1 inch. And once you've done that, you really don't need any of the green. So we can just get rid of the green altogether. We could pull our pieces closer together however we want to, and then we could cut all the walnut at once. Again, that is if you are using double-sided wood and it doesn't matter which side is up. So let's go ahead and jump on over to assembly. Okay, once again, make sure that you've printed out your color planner. This is going to help with all of your piece placement. Let's go ahead and review all of the pieces again in the file. So we have the overlay pieces along with the sides of the box. This is the underside of the lid. I decided to cut it in cedar, but you don't need to. You can cut it in walnut. And then we've got the 1 cardinal and the 2 cardinal option. And then last we have the actual base of the box. First thing we are going to want to do is put all of the sides together. So we are basically going to make a box with no base to begin with. Just make sure that you've got the 2 long sides on the opposing sides and the 2 short sides on the opposing sides. And yes, I use a mallet because I like my slats to fit tighter. And I find that I don't even need to use glue because of the material measurement tool. So I just work my way around, lightly hitting all of the connections with a rubber mallet And there we go. So now we are going to go ahead and line those tabs up with the slots underneath. Now this is a little bit trickier and you're going to have to do a little bit at a time, but you're going to give it a few whacks and you'll find that one of the slots will grab and fall into place, and then the rest will come along fairly easily. If you need to, you can turn it over so that you can see it a little bit better, which is what I had to do here. But you can see those two pieces, or those two tabs, started to slide into place. And I just work my way around, making sure that the tabs are lined up. Now we're going to move on to the overlay. So the side overlays, you'll see they fit in between the sides. So they're going to kind of just sit in between the two longer side uprights. So we can go ahead and glue that down. And I like to add glue to one of the pieces. And then we are going to sandwich them together to disperse the glue between the two. And then we will stick one down. I'll also note that I am using a spray activator with my Star-Bond glue. This makes the glue set up instantly instead of having to wait a few minutes for it to dry. Now we can go ahead and move to the other side. Now 3M is also a great option, or double-sided sticky tape is a great option for this. So you would want to apply that masking or that double-sided sticky tape prior to cutting the overlay, but the overlay would work great with a 3M product. Now that we have both of those sides glued down, we can go ahead and glue down the long side. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing once again, but you will note that the reason I have this overlay the width it is so that it will cover up those slots, and now we can't see them anymore. It looks a little bit prettier. So let's go ahead and add our glue, sandwich them together, and place it down once again. And now we will go ahead and finish the last side. Again, we already glued it because we sandwiched those two pieces together. So all we need to do is place that piece down. Now I am pulling it all the way to the bottom so that the middle section touches, and I really just need to make sure that it is lined up from left to right. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the lid. So first thing we're going to want to do is place down our overlay, and this is going to basically act as our frame to place down all the other pieces. Then from there, we're going to want to place down the jigs. And so I just cut mine out of some Baltic birch 1/8 inch, and I'm just going to put them in place. Now, one thing I'm going to note is you're really going to want to be careful about your glue. You don't want any of your glue to seep onto the jig, or then your jig will be stuck. So keep that in mind. And again, 3M is a great option for this project. Now, I would recommend placing all of the pieces with a number first, and then we will place the pieces that are scored second. And if you are uncertain of which piece goes where, you can always take your piece and match it up with the color planner to determine where it goes. So because I like to make things hard on myself, of course, I didn't number my own pieces because I came up with this idea after I had already cut everything. So hopefully it will be a lot easier for you than it was for me. Now, we are going to go ahead and dry fit all of our pieces first. I think that is just going to be a little bit easier. To try to make things run a little bit faster for me, I am going to use blue tape to pick up a few pieces at a time. And then I will add glue to those pieces and place them back down. I will also use the sandwich method where I am squishing the pieces together to disperse the glue, And then I found once I had done all that, it was easiest just to place all the pieces down one at a time. Now, for sake of time, we are going to speed it up quite a bit. I am just methodically working through, adding glue, spreading it out, and then placing the pieces back down. So for the single cardinal, I decided to try the tape flip and glue method. So I basically tape it all with blue tape so it stays in place, stays together. And then I add glue to just the wood that needs to be adhered. So we are going to avoid adding any glue to the jig itself. If I were to do it again, I think I would do tape flip and glue for both. Now, I was kind of rushed putting these together, so unfortunately I bumped a couple spots where I needed to go back and fix, like his tail, and then there was another spot on one of the leaves where they got a little wonky, but I was able to pop those off actually during the live reveal and fix them very quickly. Now we're going to flip one of the lids over and we are going to add glue inside the scored line and add that extra panel we have cut. This keeps the lid from sliding around when it is placed on top of the box. Then I'll place it back down on top of the box just to double check and make sure that my placement is good and the box is pretty much done, except for those couple of spots I need to fix, but we aren't going to talk about that. All right, guys, that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed the tutorial. Make sure to subscribe and check out other tutorials just like this. Thanks so much.